Alright, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out for the last couple runs. Sadly, my time for this evening has ended, but the good news is I'm leaving you in the far more capable hands of the lovely Pippi in a top hat for our last game of the night, KeyWe. So Pippi, whenever you would like to hang out with the people, TM, they're all yours.
Welcome back, everyone! Even though it hasn't been long. Thank you so much, Happy, for the lovely introduction. I will try my best to be capable. But I hope everyone is having a lovely time at Multithon 2023, and that you've all had a jam-packed day with us here, filled with cooperative and collaborative action. But, as Happy mentioned, we are not done quite yet. I am Pippi in a top hat, and I am excited to be hosting for y'all for our final run of the day, KeyWe, the exciting adventure that fulfills all of your dreams if your dreams were to be a small, flightless bird delivering the mail and typing. Which are, in fact, all of my dreams, except for my other dreams, which are to donate money to adorable dogs. Did you know that this stream is brought to you by donating money to adorable dogs? We are, in fact, here in benefit of Blue Path Service Dogs, which is a wonderful charity that provides autism service dogs, offering safety, companionship, and opportunities for independence to children with autism. Blue Path's expertly trained autism service dogs are provided free of charge, and they improve safety and provide families with the freedom to unlock life's potential. Also, they're adorable. They're dogs wearing cute little blue vests. So, if you are feeling generous or excited, you should definitely consider typing !donate in the chat and checking out what you can do over there. If you'd like more information on the charity, you can go right on over to bluepathservicedogs.org and see all that they have to show there, which does include pictures of dogs. I need to warn you about that, because it's cute. Anyway, our run will be ready in just a moment, and I will leave you for only a bit to enjoy the tunes and enjoy the vibes before we are back to introduce our world-class runners of Adorable Bird Mail Game. Hello, everyone, once again. I hope you've all had a lovely time listening to the tunes. I do have a couple of donations to share with you. We have $50 from Illegally Sam, one of our previous runners, who says, "Thanks for having us. I guess I need to go practice some more." Well, I'll be real. I watched that race and it looked incredible to me, but I might be easy to impress. I don't know. I'll leave that for you to decide. But thank you so much for the $50 to the good dogs. We also have $50 from our other runner, Intuition? That's how I choose to pronounce that, who says, "Let's go and give that puppy an awesome name." Reminder, if we can reach $3,000 by the end of the event, we might have the ability to influence the name of a little puppy. I'd really like to influence the name of a little puppy. I'm voting for Thunder, but let me know what your thoughts are. Anyway, that's enough out of me for now, so I will toss it over to our 3 world record holders for KeyWe Adorable Bird Mail Game and their talented commentator, Lithify. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Pippi. It's a pleasure to be here, I'm sure, for all of us in this thoroughly international affair that we have today. So moving from North America all the way over to Europe with me in not so sunny London, I'm afraid to say. It's a very grey sky, not cerulean like Shakespeare would have you believe. Yes, so it's a quick introduction for me and then I'll introduce the runners. So hi, my name is Lithify. I'm a former co-op 80% world record holder and mainly focused on individual levels, which we'll get on to talking about later. We're running the 80% today, race between co-op and solo, who controls both co-op characters at the same time. So our first introduction is going to be Boden. We'll just move eastwards around the world, shall we? We'll do Boden, who's coming to us from Germany. So Boden, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, I was already on this stream like a couple hours ago, really, doing Ape Out, and now I'm here.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
Game,
it's a really unique play style and difficult, I have to say. It's too difficult for me, so I always like to see it when I see Boden do this. Blows my mind, even as a speedrunner of this game. And then Alecat and Nicosar, who are current co-op world record holders down in Australia. So guys, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hello, so I'm Nicosar. Alecat is here with me, and we've been running this game for a while now. On Switch originally, but we moved to PC. No, we really like games with birds in them. It's not actually a deliberate thing, but it kind of is now. So...
Yeah, looking forward to the run.
Yeah, really keen to get a chance to show the game off and bring it to a new audience.
And yeah, this is the last you'll hear from us from a little while because during the run we'll be talking to each other. We've decided it's probably easier if we're muted during the run so that we're not talking over the top of Lithify and Pippi. So yeah, that's hello and good luck to Boden. Hopefully we all get good luck today. Yeah. Especially not in marathon.
It never happens.
There's always next time.
Yeah, good
Now
luck
it's
to
next
everyone.
time. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Best of luck to everyone. Let's all hope for the RNG is with us a little bit on this. And I think with that, I think we're ready for the countdown.
Yep. We're ready?
Ready here.
Yep.
Brilliant. So if we go in 5, so on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Good luck.
Good luck, good luck.
So that's what, as I was saying, we've got a lot of levels that the game is split up into. It's not quite WarioWare level of minigame, thankfully. We have 4 main types of levels that we have in the game. So this is our first kind, which I like to call a keyboard sort of game. As you'll see, I believe it's called Juliet. I think it is. This keyboard contraption, and if you'll notice with our layout here, it's a bit like a QWERTY keyboard as well. So you see the QWEs in the top left, and it's a bit abstract, but if you look along the top row and then the middle and then the bottom row, it's all there. It all sort of makes sense. And this is our first level of 36. So 36 levels broken up into 3 seasons, which are summer, fall, and winter. In spring, I'm assuming that there's a KeyWe mandated, like union mandated break or hibernation periods, and nobody gets any mail. There's no post there going out in spring, but don't worry about that too much. And
It's just the annual Sunday, yeah?
yeah, absolutely. The whole quarter of the year, I'd love that if we had that, to be honest. And yeah, our first level's done already from Boden. He's had a very nice time there, 108. It's very good. And Alecat and Nicosar are not long behind. So there is a bit of RNG that we have to talk about when it comes to KeyWe as well. With all the levels, you generally have between about 6 and 9 sort of iterations that the game is choosing from. And on most of the levels, you don't have any sort of set RNG in there. It's usually generally random. We will get into fixed RNG for a couple of them, but not quite yet. We're into the second level now, which I like to call cut-up messages, which is a bit like sort of games you play as a kid, I suppose, where you sort of cut little bits out of newspapers and make up your own little fun little messages with coloured bits of card and what have you. That, or you're one of like someone's rogues in one of rogues in Batman's Rogues Gallery or something like that. Maybe like the Joker, you're sending Batman a threatening message. It's one or the other. It's like two extremes.
I would love to receive a threatening message from a KeyWe bird.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think you'd put much station in it, would you, really? There are some really, really good phrasing here, and this is where it becomes into the RNG, which is where I really like the sort of IL level of it. It's a lot of resetting, like when you're doing any sort of individual level speedrunning, where you really want to get the 3 perfect phrases, and it's not just about that, because as you can see in this level, we don't use all the different pieces. There are some like fake ones that you won't use in construction of the message.
Okay.
So with that, obviously, if you get all the good pieces really close to where you saw they were placing them on the bottom right on the toaster on the message, then you have less travel time, and obviously it speeds you up even more. So it's quite reset dependent when you're doing that, and in run it gives us a lot of variance. But reducing the variance now, we've got the third level, which I call like a parcel crane. You can see there's a crane here that they have to control the up and down and left and right controls. And this is fixed RNG on a new save. So whenever we're doing an 80% run, it's always on a brand new save, and it will be completely fixed. And you see they've got to do 2 operations. So scattered around the room, you've got the different labels that you have to put on top of the box lid that you then lift up with the crane and put on top once the items inside descend. And you've got urgent, fragile, heavy, and perishable. And there is a thing that you'll see pop up as soon as it comes down the sort of like parcel delivery chute. There is a message that comes up, and they're quite witty. It's quite nice. When you're running this casually or just playing through the game for the first time, I highly recommend reading them all, because they give you a bit of lore around the residents of Bungalow Basin, where this is set. And you get a bit of continuity throughout the different seasons as well. Some people pop up again, and some of there's a bit of backwards and forwards about parcels as well. And so that's always good to read for it. But with that, it's a set RNG. So that's how you see that they're going off it so quickly. They don't have to read it. They know exactly what they're going for.
And the other thing, the north.
Yeah.
The other thing you do on that level as well is that you have to type out a 4-digit location as well, so they know where all of them are going. So there's 2 operations there, and that's how you can speed through that one so quick, is because they know what's going next. When we get to the future ones, people will see something and they'll just react to it on sight. And we have a list of all the iterations, but generally I think most of our runners like sort of know them by sight as well, know them by memory, and we'll use like a crib sheet as a check just in case you forget.
I need to grab the inn.
So we're back to the RNG on this fourth one. I think Boden had a really good time on that one. Yeah, 48 is very good. And let's see what. And 49. There you go. Almost matching. I think that's a perfect time to talk about. For me, at least, it's always incredible to see Boden run this as a solo player compared to the co-op, because he's, like he said in his intro, controlling both KeyWe both characters off the same controller at the same time. So imagine your controller's split in half down the middle, and then the left half is used to left analog stick for obviously movement, and then all the buttons for like jumping, dashing, picking up items and stuff, and then the right obviously for the other KeyWe bird. And trying to like separate that in your head and control them both at the same time is very, very difficult. And Boden's solo any percent time is very, very close to the co-op world record, and so are a lot of his IL times as well. In fact, a couple of them are even better than what we've got in co-op times, which amazes me. It's truly a testament to Boden's skill with that. But see, all of our runners here, fantastic. All world record holders multiple times over. We're a really small community, but very welcoming. If anyone is interested in this game or wants to even just try casually speedrunning it or whatever, or wants to know a little bit about the different iterations you've got of all the levels and different resources, that's all available on the speedrun.com site, and there's a link to our Discord there as well, where we've got a bit more, and any of us will be happy to help you out.
In terms of those world records, which is ahead right now? The single player with one controller split down the middle, or two players working together?
Is the two players working together? It is that bit easier, thankfully. So it is a little bit ahead in terms of the any percent time, but I think it's only by a few minutes at this point.
Wow.
I'll double check for you just to be absolutely certain. Actually, I tell a lie, Boden's actually ahead by a couple of seconds in in-game time, but it's a couple of seconds down in RTA. So take your pick, I guess. It's pretty much for muchness.
Oh my goodness. I was not expecting an inconclusive answer.
It's close enough. We generally go by in-game time, because that's what we'll do for the individual levels as well. It's just easier to go by that. You're just not accounting for like different loading times on different systems, etc. obviously. So yeah, it's pretty much dead even, effectively.
Anyone's game.
It really is. It really is. There's still a bit of movement in there. I think there's probably another minute or two to squeeze out of it. But obviously, trying to get perfect RNG across 36 levels is very unlikely. Yeah, and so that was another fixed RNG level that we're just having here in our 6th level, Covert Decoders. There's a bit of a sort of a light spy sort of theme, secret messages, hidden letters, swapped letters, minor little bits of like code going on there. But because we know the three phrases that are coming up, then it's quite easy just to speed through it, and a lot of like sort of pre-movement going from letter to letter. And I think generally everyone goes along basically the same sort of path. There's a couple of minor differences, which might be maybe up to half a second here or there, depending on like comfort and how players like to swap over when they're traveling across the keyboard. But it really doesn't make much difference. And we're back. And so what I didn't mention earlier, a couple of levels ago, is that these mail flies have turned up. They're here to ruin our day and interfere with all of our postage sending, which is very inconsiderate of them, to be honest. So you'll see them here, they're picking up different labels, putting them down all over the place, trying to press keys on the keyboard, the little miniature keyboard to type out your little four number destination, trying to mess around with the crane as well. Awful. Mail flies, can't put up with them. So just try and get through as quick as possible. Hope there's a bit of good RNG and they don't mess around with you too much. Which I think Alecat and Nicosar already did. It's a good time. And see, obviously, Boden got messed around with a bit more, but what 110 is completely understandable. It's not a bad time in the slightest.
I'm not sure the specifics, given how international this voice call is right now, but do the male flies know that it's typically illegal to mess with the male?
It's a good question. I don't think it's ever come up. We'll have to ask the devs and see if Jeff and Deborah, our resident Kiwis, actually know, or whether they just let them get away with it now and again. They're only a problem in summer, important to note as well. They'll go away if the cold scares them off. So we'll be rid of them soon, don't worry. And then another of our resident creatures in this world, as we'll see, is our octopus right in the middle of the screen here. Zoe, the resident male octopus, helping us out about the parcels and the letters for us to send. She's got her little clipboard there, ready to keep an eye and tabs on us, make sure we're doing our jobs correctly. She's very sweet. I do like Zoe. She has a whole level sort of like dedicated to her and her family a bit later on, which I quite like. It has been changed recently, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, with this level, we've got 4 different locations. You'll see these locations will keep reappearing. It's a fairly like close-knit sort of world. But they'll obviously be in different contexts. Sometimes you'll be using 4-digit code. In this case, we're using color codes to send it to places, the little letters. And there's the parcels that are going north, south, or to 1 or 2. And you've got to do both. So when I'm running it, we like to sort of like split up the dedicated paths just to make it easier. And then one of us will focus on the parcels, and one of us will focus on the letters. Obviously, Boden's doing both at the same time. And Alecat and Nicosar are really, really good, and they actually sort of know both roles, and they mix it up, which I'm very impressed by. It's very, very good. If you were getting into this, I'd recommend, it's definitely easier, 100%, to sort of like give one player one role. Going, I look at all the parcels, I'll figure out the sliding puzzles and know where to put them, and the other person can focus on the letters and go, okay, I'll pick this up, this has to go to orange, this one to green. It's easier to get into it that way. Everyone sort of like knows their own place while you slowly get into it and learn the movement and everything else, because it has got obviously platforming elements. We've got dashes that you'll see everyone utilising quite often here, because obviously it's the fastest way to get around, like any sort of platformer like this, and jumping as well. A funny story about jumping actually. So since the launch of this game, you've actually always been able to sort of like double jump. Is you jump and then you dash and it puts you forward a bit, and then you can jump again. It resets your jump when you dash mid-air. And for months and months and months, this is always the case. And myself and my speedrunning partner, we hadn't realised this was a thing for months and months and months until the devs highlighted it in the main, not the speedrunning KeyWe Discord, but in the main KeyWe Discord with an update. And they highlighted this fact, and we thought it was revolutionary. And then Alecat and Nick were like, no, it's always been in the game. Like, what? We just completely missed. We were just missing this tech.
It was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's extremely helpful because and obviously being able to double jump, you get a lot more height, and there's a lot of these obstacles that you just can't clear in one jump. And mastering that, it's quite a generous sort of timing on the jump dash jump, so it's not too bad. But you can definitely get over a few obstacles and what you because of it. Talking of obstacles, sand! It's everywhere. There's been this dust storm, this devilish dust up from the last level. It's given us a bit of a sinking feeling, which is what this level is called. We're all sort of half buried in the sand, and got to get through this. So it's a little bit of an extra tricky obstacle compared to the last parcel and crane level that we had. But obviously, as you can see, it functions relatively the same. It's just a little bit different. The conveyor belt at the top doesn't work, so you have to push the parcel all the way. You can get trapped in the quicksands. I'm glad it didn't happen to any of the runners there, but the Kiwis, they have the animation for struggling in the quicksand. They can jump out of it, and don't worry, if anything bad happens to our Kiwis, they don't die. They fall from the sky again. It's just, it's like turtles all the way down, and then you appear back at the sky again with a little parachute and you float down.
I was under the impression that kiwis were flightless birds. I think my earth science classes have been lying to me all my life.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. That's why they've got the parachutes so that they can float down. Yeah.
Anybody can fly with enough technology.
Absolutely. Like, you've got to give them help where nature won't.
Clever little kiwis.
Yeah, and so what we see on this level, obviously Alecat, because I've already completed it, Boden's doing the same thing. So with where you have to load these letters into the little, I don't really know, postage firing mechanisms? I'm not what else you would call them, to be honest.
The postal cannons. Ready.
But you can load multiple at the same time. You don't have to load and fire and load and fire. It's not like a single shot thing or something. You can just load in all and then fire them one after a time. So what we'll do is both kiwis will grab one, put them in the machine, and then just one kiwi can jump on and fire all the ones that are within it, just to save a bit of extra time there. Yeah, and we're coming to the final level of summer now, so we're nearly a third of the way through the run, although it's more like a quarter because summer's a bit shorter than fall and winter. And there's creeping kudzu. There's kudzu everywhere. It's overgrown and it's taking over. Be careful not to stray too close to those budding flowers as they appear. Not quite Venus flytraps, are they? But something similar. And if you get too close, the vines will pick up your kiwi, have it inside. And it will let you go eventually if you wait. But fear not, your other kiwi bird friend can come along and peck the flower and let you out and release you again. If you do get caught. There's also a fun little thing, although it is a bit frustrating, that it will pop the letters off occasionally, and things like that, and you'll see the flowers growing over it that you might have to peck off before you can press the buttons down. But yeah, that's the end of summer. So there's a nice little cutscene, which obviously we're going to skip because we're here for time, not for lovely visuals and a little bit of storytelling. So please go watch the cutscenes in your own time if you play the game.
I'd just like to appreciate, is Boden carrying a Y? Oh no, that's an A.
Yeah, he's carrying a. It's in the bottom left, it's popped off. So, but he knew his phrase didn't need it, so he picked it up just in case the phrase needed it. But it didn't, so he didn't have to waste time putting it back on the machine.
I never go anywhere without my favorite A.
Although, what you don't want to, or actually what you could be missing, is your favourite Z, though, or Z, depending where you're from. Because we never use that, at least in the English version. I'm pretty sure we do use it in some of the other language versions. So it's worth pointing out. There is a couple of theoretical time saves on some of the other languages. Obviously, you can set the game to Italian. I know Alecat and Nicosar have done quite a bit of speedrunning in Italian because it is a bit quicker on quite a lot of the, I think it's type phrases more than anything else. Actually, and the cut-up messages, I think on both. It's got some potential time saves, which are very, very slim. But obviously, none of us are Italian speakers, so it's a bit hard. So you have to properly put the extra mile in to learn the phrases. And if you do any of those other languages, it could be a bit confusing, I suppose, for a native speaker. Things like German, I think you should have like umlauts on some of the letters, but obviously they don't have that within the context of the game. There's none of the alternate keyboards or anything.
We can't set our separated keyboard to international.
No, if you're French, it won't be set up like a ZERTY as well. So I'm sure if you're French, seeing a QWERTY keyboard would be very confusing. Things like that. So yeah, there's a possible small amount of time save if you change the language, but not like you see in like other games. Obviously, I know it's been previously discussed about switching up to like Japanese language for some games can obviously save you time with running through there with how text boxes work, but there's nothing really like that in this game. So got Boden a little bit behind, but it's not by much here. And this is where we get into sort of the meatier side of the game, the average length of the levels really starts to increase when we get to fall, and it'll increase a little bit again when we get to winter, by and large. You see that in the top left, they've now got 4 messages that they have to send. So all in summer, they were always 3. At the most, they were never more than 3. And now we're up to sometimes 3, sometimes 4 in fall. So a bit more work to do. Send a little extra message. I don't know why. You know, it comes to fall. It's getting a little bit colder. People want to write messages about how the leaves are turning orange and everything. I don't know. People need to send more messages. That's just the way it goes. And then also the phrases will be a bit more difficult. And with these sort of like cut-off messages, you'll see we've got the extra activity you need to do, where you get 1 word, which I think generally, or almost always, are actual real words, and you have to put it onto the little cutting machine tool in the bottom right, and you cut it into 2 halves. Now, some of those 2 halves you will be using both for the same message. If you are going to use both halves, you would use them both for the same message, but some of them you'll only use 1 half of that cut-up word, and then the other half is just another red herring, really. It's just a dispensable part. So you have to then take that off the machine before you can put another word down to cut on the machine, and then you have to stash it somewhere. So you'll see it gets quite cluttered around there when you're getting rid of these useless parts of words that you don't need to use for any of the phrases. So there's a bit of pre-planning that needs to go into it when you're working this. 2A is a really, really good time. Very impressed by that. If you're getting anything close to 2 minutes on that, that's a really good time. I think Boden's about going to be the same, actually.
If you receive less messages for a level, as you said, you can get 3 or 4. Are they longer to make up for it?
No, sorry, I didn't describe that correctly. So some of the
okay.
ones in fall will always have 3, and some of them will always have 4. That's just it's not a variation within the level. It's just some of them are increased difficulty and increased length and have 4, and some will have 3. It's it's a bit of a quirk. And then in winter, I'm pretty sure they're like always 4.
Well, that's nice for a race setting.
Yeah. There's no variance like that, thankfully. It's purely about the type of message. There's no one who's going to get super lucky and it's like, oh, I've got one fewer message to send. Let's save 30 seconds. Thankfully. And then on this part of the keyboard level, so you'll see it starts out like a QWERTY keyboard, by and large. But you'll also be noticing that a lot of the letters are sort of flipping around and then going in the wrong place. So this is another difficulty that's introduced in fall and only becomes more frequent and harder as time goes by, is that more and more of parts of the keyboard will be swapping. So you can't just rely on your knowledge and sort of like your touch typing skills to think, oh, I know where a K is, or oh, I know where to go for an R, because it isn't necessarily going to be there at this point. So you have to keep an eye on the whole screen and keep track of where things are going. And it is extremely common and very frustrating that you'll be heading and be almost about to press on a letter and it'll switch and you'll miss it. And typically when that happens, it's all the way over the other side of the keyboard, of course. You have to traipse your way all the way over there instead with a bit of shame. And then it has happened sometimes where you get to that and then it swaps again. And then you're just chasing a letter all the way around the board.
I'm really glad that doesn't happen on a daily basis in real life.
It's the same. Could you imagine trying to deal with this sort of contraption? It'd be like dealing with your own sort of like Crystal Maze or some sort of game show like that on a daily basis just to get your normal daily work done. I couldn't cope. But don't worry, our KeyWes are looked after with a good work, health plan and everything else. So there's no concerns for them there.
Please support Blue Path, and please also support having vision and dental insurance for your Kiwi bird.
Yes. So with the more difficult levels, obviously, RNG becomes probably a much bigger part of it, of how well you can do. Like I said, when we're grinding away at all levels, there'll be a lot of resetting. So this is where you can get quite a bit of variance in an any percent run, and quite a lot of fun for a race with where you get obviously different iterations here. They've generally got quite good ones, both of them I can see here though. Nothing that really should slow them down too much. And they didn't get exactly the same ones, but I think they got 2 of the same for that. So that's quite nice as well, and they should end up with fairly similar times.
May I trouble you in between levels here for a quick donation?
Please go ahead now, that'd be perfect.
We got $10 in from Lucy. No message, but still greatly appreciated. Any small amount you can give is so appreciated from all of us, and also adorable dogs that are going to help people whose lives will be greatly improved by having them. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, that's lovely. And we're back to the spy missions almost. You see a bit of a continuation from where we had the COVID decoders back in summer, and trying to hide the message parts a little bit with sort of needing a little bit of ultraviolet light to be able to see what they are. And you'll see our cassowary friends that deliver the post for us on these sorts of levels. They've got the sunglasses on as well. They almost look like Men in Black, sort of cassowaries. They'll be occasionally putting on the lamps for us so you can see everything at once, but otherwise you've got a little portable UV light on the back of your KeyWe, so you can see what's in your close proximity. And they've got quite nice themed messages, like what is it? I brought sneaky snacks. We need code names, things like this. So there's this sort of like subtext of a little spy adventure going on in Bungalow Base.
I'm concerned what the Kiwis are hiding. Are they going to be an accomplice to a crime about snack foods?
I hope not. Well, as long as they bribe us with snacks, then I'd be okay with it. They can get on and do what they want.
As long as I can get in on the sneaky snacks and
Absolutely.
the birds.
I'm more concerned about those cassowaries. I think they look a bit suspicious and a bit shifty with the sunglasses on, you know, bobbing their heads around. Who knows what they're up to? Where are they taking these messages?
That's just how you know that they're cool. Only the coolest of cassowary can have sunglasses at night.
Oh, this is quite a difficult one. Electrical interference coming up. So here you've got the 4 messages to send, as you see in the top left on Alecat and Nicosar's screen. But you've got 3 different things that can happen. So the first one they've got here is where one of you is obviously blue and one of you is red, and you can only press the corresponding letters that match your colour, and they'll switch position, but they'll also switch colour at different times as well. So you might be running for it and then it changes colour as well as it might have a chance to change position as well. So this is doubly confusing, and this is only one of the 3 variants. And a lot of how quick you can do this level depends on which of those 3 variants doubles up. They've got really unlucky, in my opinion. I think this one's the hardest one, where you have sort of the red and blue split colours. What you want is one of the other 2 that we'll see next on theirs. In fact, one of which you can see on Boden's at the moment, which I think is probably the quickest, because it's really easy. It highlights which buttons you need to press, and you need to hit them in tandem, so at the same time. But obviously, because you don't have to actually think about the phrase, because you could just run to where the lights are and just go absolutely mad. Just follow the lights. It's okay, as long as one of you is sort of like, I'll deal with the left and I'll deal with the right with another KeyWe. You can just speed through that, and it's effortlessly easy. And then the other one, which we'll see in a second on Alecat and Nicosar's screen once they're done with this third message, is also quite nice. And this will be a hidden message. So you'll see when it's typing, our little prompter in the middle below where it gives us the phrase, it doesn't actually show your progress. So all you have to do is keep track of the phrase that you're spelling. So it's a small bit of memory difficulty. Oh, that was really unlucky that Alecat had that input where she was hitting down the letter and it switched just as she's hitting down to input the wrong one. So you have to just delete that before obviously you type in the correct thing. So a little bit of time lost there, only a couple of seconds, it's not much.
It seems kind of rude that we're making it so hard for the little KeyWes to type. I don't necessarily expect KeyWes to be able to read or write at all. Making it harder just feels mean.
I suppose a little bit, but it is their job. They do get paid in stamps, so they seem to like the stamps. You can buy cosmetics with them as well, so you can dress your KeyWe up in all different sorts of ways. You do get, as you can see, for both of our sets of runners here, you do get the rainbow KeyWe available from the start. So that's what you see our runners use, and that's what everyone will tend to use, is that they'll leave one of the KeyWe, one or Jeff or Deborah, who are two KeyWes. They're different shades of brown, one's lighter brown, one's dark brown. You'll swap one of them to be the rainbow KeyWe cosmetic, just for clarity's sake. Otherwise, at a glance, Jeff and Deborah look a little bit similar, and you might get confused when you're pathing, especially Boden when you're playing solo and trying to, don't cross the streams a bit like Ghostbusters, and you get the two mixed up, and they're both brown. And you go, oh no, which one's which? It's terribly confusing. So it's lucky that that's available to everyone from the get-go. But yeah, as you progress through the game, you get paid a different amount of stamps. Based on how well you do, whether you get a bronze, silver, or gold medal. It's 2, 3, or 5 stamps, I think it is. And with those, you can collect them, and then you can buy all sorts of cosmetics from the store. There's no extra cost to this. It's not like extra DLC or an extra paid currency. It's just all built into the game, just about progression more than anything else. But there are also some other unlocks which are built behind, collectibles. So there's actually little challenges in a few of the different levels, and you might have to pick up something and then put it somewhere else, and then take that somewhere else, and then it will challenge unlocked. And it's completely separate from how you actually complete the level. And I think there's 15 of those off the top of my head to do, so it's quite fun. Or it's 12 or 15. And it's quite fun to hunt those down and see how you can do them. It's always nice to get a few different cosmetics and dress your KeyWe up in different ways. Myself, when I'm playing on the completed save and I've got everything unlocked, I like to do a kakapo, which is a green flightless parrot from New Zealand. So it's a nice cute little green kind of KeyWe, and then I have a sort of a little straw hat with flowers in, and a little gardening backpack. So I have a gardening themed KeyWe that I like to use to my player character. But you can do all sorts of things. There's there's obviously we're in fall. We're going to be coming to Halloween soon in game, or a Wickertide as we call it in Bungalow Basin. And so there's Skull and Bones KeyWes. There's Electrify KeyWes like we had from a couple of levels ago, with static electricity all crackling around them and things, and anything in between, and a few different different bird skins as well. I was going to say a woodpecker. I think there's woodpecker, and a few others. It's quite good fun. You can customize and look your own sort of way.
I do appreciate the rainbow. It is very cute in addition to being very distinctive.
Absolutely. Yeah, talking of Wickertide, we are approaching that now. So we're getting to the 9th level of the 12 for full. So now we're probably about halfway through the run. And there's so many silly things about this. So it's a bit like Halloween. You've got your candy and your sweets out, and your cassowary comes along. It's wearing either a bucket or a box on its head. It's doing its Wicketide costume to beg for the sweets and the candy. And if it doesn't get paid on time, it gets a bit frustrated. It will peck that Z or that Z button, and it will put it in the middle of your message because it's like, nope, you've got to feed me. It's very demanding, the cassowaries are. So you've got to juggle whether you can get the phrase quickly done in time, or whether you have to sort of divert and spend a bit of time picking up the right treat for them. There's all sorts of spooky things coming in now, and like I said earlier, you've got like phrases that are a theme to it, a bit like we had the spy stuff. Now we've got themes around about Wicketide here. So there's a costume parade in Belby. We've got on Boden's. Used coffin for sale, which I'm a bit suspicious about that somebody sending
That
such a
also
message.
doesn't sound particularly legal.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
Maybe that's why they were hiding the messages previously.
It could be. Oh, here we go. So this is Zoe's Tracks of Terror. So we've got Zoe, she's got her witch's hat on. And then she's built this contraption. So so we've got mainly the 4 types of levels, and then you get a few one-off levels. This is one of them, Zoe's Tracks of Terror. She's got a carnival ride that she's built here, specifically for Wicketide. And you'll see there's these barrels with 2 little octopi. Are they octopi plural? I'm going to say octopi plural. Who are her cousins and nephews, I think. Well, no, nieces and nephews, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's nieces and nephews. Who are all going for a ride and have to be sent to the right destination, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the top, or the spooky, pink purpley demon and the pumpkin there down the bottom. But you have to send them around either the left or the right track to spook them first before they can leave. So you'll see that there's the spook button in the top left. It's quite sweet. It's quite endearing, I think.
It's just bring your child to work day, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and scare them a little bit. Why not?
Yeah.
What's the harm in that? So this got changed. Good grief, when was it? It was a couple of months ago. This got changed, and it used to be one of my favourite levels because there were 2 different variations, and one was about 5 to 10 seconds quicker than the other, and they were both really, really good, both between about 55 seconds and 1 minute and 5. But they changed it a little while ago, so I think there's like 4 or 5 variations now, and they're all between about 105 to like 115 is about the quickest you can do them. So it's slowed down that a little bit, so it will never be as quick as it used to be, which is a real shame. And for my mind at least, and I think generally we mostly agree on this, all of us as runners, I think it's a bit less interesting because they're pretty much all themed and everything has to go through the same track, either all left or all right, which is a bit less fun than sending things to scare them on both sides and having to like sort of manage that at the same time. Who knows? It may change again. Fingers crossed. In my personal opinion. Yeah, we're back onto the cut-up letters, and obviously see the general premise is the same. You have to pick up the bits and parts of the letters and put them on the little message by the toaster before you pop it up and send it, and cut up the little letters. But obviously the whole format's changed. Everything's moved around. You still have to pick up the message, little cassette reel from the cassowary on the right, and put it in the tape machine to play it. But then obviously that's all over in the top left now, rather than sort of like the middle left, and in the cutting machines down the bottom middle instead of the bottom right. It's roughly there, but a lot more platforming, and you'll probably see it at some point. I'll try and keep an eye out, but we might see someone fall into the spooky green mist below, and then you might see the you won't see the parachuting on this one. You'll see them just poof back up onto where the ledge they jumped off in like a puff of magical green smoke. So our KeyWes are safe even in this spooky season. spooky messages as well. So actually, they're both doing befriended a bat today at the moment. And Boden's actually been flying the last few levels and he's slightly gone a little bit ahead here. Oh, important point to note, when you see them sending the message and buckling up the backpack that the cassowaries have before they take the message away. So what you can do, there is just enough time for the person who puts the little treat inside the bowl for the cassowaries to eat, which they will not let you buckle up the bag unless you give them a treat beforehand. They need paying. Cassowaries pay too. That person can put that in, jump up to the closest buckle, and then you mash away to sort of peck at the buckle. And I don't know how KeyWes do it. They're very dexterous beaks apparently. And you bucket it up. And there's just enough time for you to do that before the sort of like the window that you can bucket up it ends, and the cassowary would say, "I need another treat before you can do that again." So there is just enough time to do that, which is extremely good that Boden can do that in single player as well, because he's mashing away on one side of his controller with the other one who's already waiting on the bag, and then he's got to jump the other one in and then mash away as well with very little time to do it. And even as a duo, it's quite tricky. And we do mess it up sometimes. You have about a 5-second time loss if you have to go and pick up a second treat for the cassowary.
It's nice that we're paying the cassowaries a living wage of, is that fruit?
Yeah, it's different fruits.
Yeah. It seems like it makes more logical sense than stamps, but I have never been a KeyWe bird, so I don't know. Do they eat the stamps? Maybe?
I think they must use some sort of like underground currency, like a bartering system.
Does it only work for other birds that work in the mail industry?
These and many more questions. We need to have like an in-depth expose on like the KeyWe.
I really need to study the lore. Yeah.
Are KeyWe birds being exploited? Coming up at 11.
I hope not.
I hope not. Yeah, absolutely.
It would be a very upsetting news story.
That would be terrible. No, they seem to want to of their own volition. They seem very happy, and they're very well looked after by the postmaster as well, which we won't see because we'll skip through the cutscenes. But they are very sweet. And it's like a nice little family there. Obviously, it is sort of modelled on like Australasia, Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, that sort of area. But it specifically isn't. And any similarity is purely coincidental. Think not much more of it. It's not the same place.
This is not copyright infringement.
Yeah. So we're into winter now. Snow is here. You're going to get those nice cozy winter feelings, and once again the difficulty's been ramped up just that little bit extra. As you'll get more complicated sliding puzzles like this with the more tricky conveyor belts. They don't all have necessarily a perfect way to do it. A lot of them will have definitely better or preferred ways to do it, like the one that Boden's doing at the moment. But something with obviously the limited conveyor like Alecat and Nicosar had here at the start, there's a little bit of preference in it. I don't think there's much difference in how you would complete that in terms of time. They've got quite a nice one of my favourite patterns on the right at the moment. Yeah, I really like how they're doing this. Oh, nearly a slip up from Nicosar there. So what you want to do on the right there is block off these conveyor belts. So if you have a parcel on the square beyond the direction it's travelling, it just won't activate. So you could be like a Pokemon sliding puzzle almost. So you can have the 1 and 2 that are by where you need to send them, and then you send both the souths through the passage when you've got it blocked off, just to make it easier. Because the other way to block a conveyor belt and stop it running and pushing your parcel off is to have a KeyWe stand on the other side. So either you block it with a parcel or you can block it with a KeyWe. what we might see as well, potentially, depending on the level that we get on some of these sliding puzzles in winter, is a really, really tricky technique, which Alecat and Nicosar are really, really good at, especially, which is when there's a conveyor belt next to a send thing, and you usually have to have like a KeyWe on the square after it to block it off so it doesn't push the parcel off immediately, and then you can push it into send, is that you can push it yourself. So you can sort of pull it, you can block it off on like the square before, and you can quickly dash around and push it in before it moves on. It's a little bit of a glitch bug. Very minor one, but it is possible. It's very difficult though. It's not perfect. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily 50% reproducible. But yeah, they're particularly good at it, more than anyone else. I know for certain. I would never risk it. I'm awful at it, quite frankly. Well, there you go. You saw Boden's KeyWe parachuting in there. Must have fallen off the back or something.
I went for a little skydive.
There is a. Oh, I can't remember if this one's got the collectible, but there is. No, I don't think this one does. But there is a sort of a higher level that you won't see most of the time. That's got like little lights above, and you can jump from. And there's a couple of levels that you need to do that with. That you can get a collectible at the top there. If you want to see which levels have collectibles, if you are doing this, you're like, oh, I don't know how to get them. I think there's plenty of little text tutorials online. But I've also got a collectibles run on my YouTube as well, which has timestamps to which levels have the collectibles in. So if you want to see how it's done in a run, you can see that as well. If you wanted to get a full completion yourself and you were stuck on where to find some. So yeah, this is quite interesting. Something that we learn a little bit is that if you try and complete all the letters and then pop the toaster and take them to a cassowary at a time, you'll actually be wasting time. You'll be sitting around for about 3 or 4 seconds before the second cassowary pops along. So what you really want to do is get each letter finished, and then when you're both in a good position from collecting bits and pieces for one of the other messages on the conveyor belt, you want to pop it as soon as possible. And get it sent by that cassowary ASAP, just so you don't have downtime, and that will save you about 10 seconds across this level each time if you do that, rather than sort of like focus on putting all the messages on and then send them one after the other right at the end. So you want to do a little bit of multitasking there. Oh, okay. Here's quite a unique level. This is one of the more unique ones. So you see down the bottom middle, you've got the flying crane. So you both have to be on it to activate it. And much like the crane, one of you will be able to move the contraption left and right, and one of you can control up and down. But you've got 2 different parcels at the same time. So you have to manage 2 different sets of labels that you want to put on. Obviously, they both need 2 on a lid. And then you also want to manage 2 sets of labels for destinations at the same time. So that would generally be where, once again, splitting responsibility. Someone would focus mostly on the labels, and someone would generally focus on the letter destination sending there. And then you just hope that it's also in a nice cycle and a sequence, because you'll see that as the crate lids travelling along the conveyor belt, they do go out of sight for a couple of seconds at a time when they go into the right of the machine and come back out the left, and then when they go out the top as well and come back in at the top. So you do have to hope you get a little bit of good RNG or plan around it. And there's quite a little fun collectible. I will say about one collectible on this level. In the top right, you'll see there's a flight plan, and it says number 1. And if you look at the maps on the right and on the left, you'll see there's a little sort of like flight destination. It will have a 1 next to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 next to different locations. So what it wants you to do is type in the destination code, that location, and you jump up and you put it on the little calendar there at the top, and it will sort of take that day off the calendar, and you just go progress onto the next, onto the second, onto the third, and then you can get a collectible from that, and it's a really cute one as well because a plane flies in from the top after you finish that. That'll be the one collectible I'll tell people about if they're struggling. Anything else, try and find it for yourself. Like I say, if you wanna collect all the little different things for your KeyWes, that's great.
Or why not try speedrunning collecting all of them?
That as well. There hasn't been many all collectible runs, not for months and months and months. So if anyone does want to get in on that, there's a lot of time saving to be done there. So if you want a world record of your own, you want to get into KeyWe speedrunning, all collectibles run is an easy one. Trust me, you put a bit of time into it, you'll get it.
Yeah, it sounds like someone's got to bring that category back to life.
Yeah, definitely. This next level that we have is tricky because the first couple of phrases, yeah, they do matter a little bit, but it's because you get them both at the same time. It's really about how fast the last two phrases are, how quickly you can get them done. Once you're doing one of the phrases though, what you try and do is get one completed all in one go, and you'll see the timers ticking away on the other one the whole time. And it is based on the length of the word, and there is one phrase that does start with just the word I, like the capital I. Obviously, because that's only one letter, that ticks really quite fast. So you can get most, or at least some of the phrases done of the other one before I complete, but it can get a bit dicey. So sometimes if that happens, you'll see people will do either the phrase that begins with I first, or they might just do the I and then switch back and do the other phrase, depending. It's sort of a dealer's choice, but that's the only one that becomes a bit sketchy for how close run that can be. Okay, so Boden's a little bit ahead at the moment, but this might change over the next couple of levels. Cause, let's just say Alecat and Nicosar are a bit specialists on the next couple of levels. We got Bungalow, Base and Bake Off, and Parts and Graphs. So they've got the IELTS records for both of these by quite a long way. And not just that, they're extremely fast times as well. There is a little thing in Bungalow, Base and Bake Off where you want to hit like a perfect cycle. So when you see these trays come in and it will tell you what you need, you either need chocolate or you need sugar dough, and then you can have a mixture of toppings, strawberries, gooseberries, or chocolate on top, and it could be any mixture. It could be 2 strawberries, could be 2 chocolate, could be 2 gooseberries, could be 1 of each, etc. And if you hit all of them and get them done, and if you have it completed and you have the little oven, I suppose it is, down the bottom left, if you have all that cleared, the arm that picks it up will travel from the oven, and obviously it doesn't travel far along the conveyor belt to pick it up, and we'll put it straight in. If obviously it has to cycle back round to the other end of the conveyor belt, you lose time in it travelling outside the left and back into the right. But also the armature that goes and picks it up will have to travel all the way down the conveyor belt and then take it all the way back to the oven, so you lose quite a lot of time. So if you hit the perfect cycle and get all of them done in just enough time, and there is only just enough time to get them all the cookies completed and all stamped down and ready to cook, and you get the oven cleared so it can go into the oven, then you can get a really good time. So you see Boden's got a 135 there. If you hit the perfect full cycle, it's about a 106, 107, so it's about 30 seconds faster than what Boden was able to get there. And generally, even if you don't hit a 4 cycle, if you hit a really good 3 cycle, you can do it in about 115, 116. So it's about like a 10 second saving nearly. from hitting that perfect cycle. And it's very rare and very difficult, and you will very rarely see it in an 80% run like this. And yeah, there you go. So they didn't quite get that Alecat and Nicosar, so they got a 170. So it's like about that 10 seconds slower from that, like I say, but it's very understandable. It's what you'd expect, but still 20 seconds faster than what Boden's able to do solo. It's really difficult. And then this next one, parts of crafts. This will fly by, so let's quickly talk because Alecat and Nicosar can do this under 20 seconds. Which is their world records. It's generally they get sub 30 really consistently, sub 25 fairly often, and we're always joking. I always said they could do it.
Oh
sub
my
20.
goodness!
Yeah, they're done. The blink of an eye. 2165, extremely fast for in a run. Yeah, they are incredibly good, consummate professionals at that level, far better than anyone else. I have to really applaud that. That's really fantastic.
Amazing time save, honestly.
Yeah, I think at first when myself and my running partner Curtail, we've done our first initial playthrough of this, we got gold on all the levels apart from Parts and Crafts that they've just done there, and I think we got like a minute and 5 or something like that, and I think you need to be 55 seconds or a minute to get gold or quicker, and we thought, oh no, this is so difficult, it's gonna be really hard to get this under a minute, and then look where it is now, where they've just done a nearly 20-second run of it. The game's been out nearly a year and a half now. I would never have believed you if you told me anyone could do it that fast back then. It's really been one of the huge gains, I think, and what's been done. A great achievement. And another unique level, really cute one. Obviously, it's a take on the keyboard, obviously, but the Holly Jostle Tinter track can be very frustrating, because obviously everything's switching again like on the previous levels, but you've got the train going round, so you're trying to keep track of what's going in on the right and then come out the left, but also when letters go in on the right and come out the left, they might also switch position, but you don't see the switch really happen because it's happening behind the scenes as well. So you might be expecting a letter to come out and then go waiting around for it, well, where is it? I can't see it, it's gone. And then obviously you have to look over the whole thing, and you'll see the Christmas trees will pop in and out and they'll cover things, and so will the little cute like postman toys waving their letters in the air. They'll swap around, and it can be such a frustrating level, but it looks adorable, so that kind of makes up for it.
I mean, this whole game looks adorable, so I give it all a pass.
No, I'm glad you think so. It is really, really sweet, and I think one of the best things for me to talk about it as we're coming up towards the last 5 levels of the run is that it really is suitable for all ages as well. Obviously, in a speedrunning sense, if you want to as well, but in a casual play, really pretty much all ages can sort of play it. Fairly simple mechanics, pretty lenient in terms of getting all the silver medals as well. I think that's really achievable for pretty much all ages. That you could look to do that. Gold's a little bit harder, but it's not aggressively difficult if you really want to put your mind to it and just sort of like pre-plan a little bit or have really good mechanics. So yeah, that's really good for like families, I think, as well, which is really nice if people want to play with like the kids, or extended families and things. People who wouldn't even usually play games and stuff. I think it can be really nice for that sort of thing as well.
So as they're wrapping up their boxes, can they no longer see where the box is supposed to go?
Yes, you got it. So you have to kind of
A
remember
little
where you're
harrowing.
You can unwrap them though. You see the little trumpet horns on the left and the right, in sort of like the middle row, and you've got the little like undo figure next to it. So if you take it to there, and you wrapped it up wrong, or you need to remember where it's going, you take it there, and the KeyWe squeaks into the machine. So a tentacle will appear out from the depths, and it will unwrap the parcel for you. It will take off the top layer. So if you have forgotten, you need to find out where you're sending something. If you're a little bit of a forgetful KeyWe, it's okay. There's always a way to make up for your little mishap. And like I said, with those couple of levels, Bungo Base and Parts of Craft being so fast, Alecat and Nicosar have nearly caught up again.
It's been a pretty darn close race this entire way through, which is very impressive for two very different play styles.
Totally. Well, like we said before, the records are almost identical. I was mistaken on that. So yeah, they're almost the same. It really is. We're looking at co-op and the single player world record holders for any percent. They're so closely matched. It's really good. And this level, approaching Storm, this is a bit interesting because the first three phrases don't really matter because it's on a set cycle for a timer, and each phrase won't become available until a certain time marker. So it doesn't matter if you absolutely flew through them and got the first three done, you could just be sitting around for 20 seconds, maybe at tops, waiting for the fourth message to appear. So how fast you can do this level really all comes down to, generally, what that last phrase is. Oh, Alecat's had to go there. I hope nothing's wrong. Yeah, fine, perfect. Nicosar's giving me the thumbs up. Brilliant. And Boden's just waiting for it to come back. That's very sweet of Boden. That's really good.
We gotta keep the race fair.
And we're off again. Thanks, Boden.
Just a quick emergency.
Yeah, it's just a minor emergency there.
It's good that I'm glad then, in addition to our vision and dental insurance, the KeyWes do get adequate time off of work when they need it.
Yes, they deserve it after all of this, working through the harsh cold, the windows flapping open, you're not even getting the proper heating. So it's a bit of a rickety situation going on there. I think they need to get a bit of DIY done on the post office.
Maybe that's why they close for an entire season, is to do internal repairs.
That could be it, actually. That's a very good suggestion.
Give everyone a little bit of time off to do some building maintenance.
Yeah, this is amazing. So Alecat and Nicosar have got the best phrase, Take Shelter Now, for their last one. So this is a theoretical potential world record attempt, but it also depends on where the letter's located as well and how fast you can do them. So that's always the tricky thing. It's not just about the phrase you get as the final one for that level, it's also about how quick you can do them. But obviously it wouldn't be for them because they had to take that short break for the little emergency. But I think there was a little bit of a fumble over the W at the end, so I don't think it would have been quick enough anyway. And yeah, we really are into the depths of winter now. There was obviously last level was called An Approaching Storm. This is called Bitter Cold. It's getting absolutely freezing. Wrap up your KeyWes. Make sure they're warm. Feed the cassowaries lots of cocoa. They've got their cozy fur hats on as well.
Oh, I'm with the cassowaries. That sounds lovely.
and their sort of like skiing or snowboarding goggles as well. They're well protected while they're running the bows everywhere. But occasionally we'll get a sort of a mini blizzard, a mini fast storm will come through, and there's a little lantern that one of our KeyWes can hold, and it will stop the not just the KeyWes themselves freezing over, it will also stop the conveyor belts freezing as well. Oh yeah, you saw Nicosar got trapped in midair there, frozen in midair.
Oh, that's some aggressive cold.
Immediate suspension. I'm not sure how. It just makes you hover as well, but it does. It's that cold.
What we're learning is there's many ways for a KeyWe bird to fly. They've got flying machines. They've got parachutes. They've got sudden inexplicable lack of physics due to cold. There are options if you're a KeyWe.
Absolutely. And then yeah, if you want to break the ice and the conveyor belts are frozen over, one KeyWe is not strong enough. You have to use the power of friendship, and you both have to be there, and you stomp down on the ice to break it and get that conveyor belt moving again. And there's an interesting strategy that Alecat and Nicosar do with this, where they'll spend a lot of the early game not progressing, focusing purely on doing the letters. What they'll do with their limited space that they've got down the bottom is they'll try and get every single letter piece off the conveyor belts and put them down by the cutting machine and keep them around there. And they'll do that as much as they can and as fast as possible so that they don't have to interact with that freezing mechanic. Obviously, it's a trade-off in time because then sort of you're double handling letters by bringing them down there in the first place and then dealing with them again rather than going straight to them on the conveyor belt. But because you don't have to focus on taking both the KeyWes there to stop down on the ice to restart the conveyor belt, you save the time back. So, interesting strategy for that one.
I feel bad for that little KeyWe that froze right at the end there. What a hard end to the workday.
Well, I'm glad you haven't noticed, but if you finish the level on those and you've buckled up the backpack on the cassowary and you're standing on it, the cassowary will run off and the KeyWe will be stuck on its back and it will just run off. And when you get to the end, the KeyWe will fall off and respawn on a parachute flying in from above because the cassowary kidnapped them. Yeah.
Cassowary, I thought you were our friends.
No, they're aggressive animals. They're like dinosaurs, basically.
I can't believe this betrayal. I thought that the sunglasses were to make you cool.
They're definitely trying to mislead you. I think that was their plan all along.
Again, this game has a lot deeper lore than I was expecting. I was expecting our lore to be delivering mail.
No, there's definitely a lot more to it than that. And, there is a DLC as well which it's like a scrolling Olympics almost, I would say. And you go from like zone to zone. There's like 4 or 5 different zones and they're themed around one of the different areas, one of the different sending locations that we've had in the game, and that's really fun. Actually, I'd highly recommend checking out. So if anyone does already own KeyWe and hasn't come back to it in a while, or just check out the game for something different, using the same mechanics but a real different take on how the game's done, I would advise checking out DLC as well. I think myself, Kurto are the only ones to have registered the time on speedrunning that. It would be nice if anyone else wanted to compete on that, because they're really, really cool and really different.
Plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we're a really small community. So I'm really friendly and really open. If you want to come join, check it out, please do. We're into the last level now. Stand your post. This is in itself like a trifle, but that's only 3 things. It's a little hodgepodge of all the different types of games that we've had throughout the run. You can see little bits of collecting now on Boden's. You've got the sliding puzzle at the start on Alecat and Nicosar, and then the letter collection we do. But everything's frozen over.
I appreciate that we're letting our octopus friends stay warm under the water, because really, that didn't look super pleasant to be frozen.
No, it's not nice. But Zoe will be taking the cart everywhere for us while we collect everything. And if we just follow Boden's screen, he's the level ahead at the moment, or the part of the level ahead. So we have to fix the machine now, because it's all broken after that winter storm. And we have to fix the controls. So within these snow piles, you've got to find all the bits and pieces and all the elements here. And there you go, you've found the last 2. And then you've got to send the KeyWes, you've got to press them at the same time. There you go, jump back in the cart. And then here's the last bit. So you just got to break all the ice, make sure the keyboard's able to be pressed. And then once that's done, you can knock down the lever on the left and then jump in the cart, and then that'll be time. For Boden, well done. Really good time. And we're just coming up to the end for Alecat and Nicosar.
Truly a very close race right to the end.
Yeah, what's that? 20 seconds, 25 seconds in it, and time for them as well. That's brilliant. What a close race. That was great. Well done, everyone.
Did the KeyWes get some cocoa at the end? Oh, I'm so happy for them. Maybe the cassowaries realized the error in their way and are gonna share.
I hope so. And also, they've got that spring break to look forward to as well, don't they? A whole spring of no work.
Oh, we have to fix up the post office first.
Yeah. Well, that's Buckman's job.
I hope that's somebody else's job. Yeah, let the KeyWes have some rest.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. That was a brilliant run. Well done, everyone. That was fantastic.
It was great. I did not expect to win the race, but
Ah, well,
Congratulations.
we ran into the classic two people are worse than one problem when we, yeah.
Too much time overthinking things.
Yeah, no, so yeah,
Yeah,
you
well done,
were amazing. Good games.
Yeah, and then thank you so much for that fantastic commentary, Spy, and as you know, Chrissy, for keeping things rolling. It's just been so great hearing you lay out all the weirdnesses of Bungalow Basin.
I love all the weirdnesses.
Yeah, the Kiwis clearly have a very good union.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing the run. And I would argue that while one might have won over two today, all three together is definitely a win for everyone involved. It was a magnificent watch and a wonderful and charming time.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
having us. It's been a blast, and thank you again, Lithby. Your commentary is always wonderful. We love having you with our runs.
Yeah, it's a real treat.
Oh, Boden, we'll get you next time. We're 1-1 now.
Yeah, this makes it 1-1.
Hey, this was revenge for last time, where you almost got world record in the marathon.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody would like to follow the future exploits of KeyWe Racing, where can they find you all?
Probably the best place is just to head straight to the KeyWe page on speedrun.com. We've got a link to the community Discord there and some resources for people to use. I know every now and then Alecat and I stream on her Twitch channel. I know, I think, Litherfly, were you planning on getting back into co-op?
Yes.
Yes.
Shortly after this, yeah, my speedrunning partner is taking a hiatus from KeyWe speedrunning at the moment, but
The spring break.
Yeah, it's true. I suppose we can, I guess, announce that I think Boden and I are going to try and do a bit of co-op after this as well now, off the back of this stream. So we haven't done co-op before, so I guess you'll see us try something again soon. You might see it on, I guess, my stream or Boden's stream on Twitch.
Or both.
So yeah, or both at the same time. So you might see us there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, shout out as well to the other Kiwi speedrunners out
Yeah.
there, both past and current. You know,
Yeah.
it's been really fun.
Yeah, they're all delightful people, and
Yeah.
it's been great getting to push the boundaries on a game that just lets you do so much with it.
Yeah.
Like lots of little neat ways to try and cut corners in
And-
your
and
100%
future.
safe workplace.
And future as well, hopefully there'll be new speedrunners as well. If anyone's interested by this, or you know anyone who might be interested, yeah, give them a shout out. They can check us out, like Nicosar said, on Speedrun or on the Discord, and then ask us anything if you're curious.
Yeah.
Very wonderful. Thank you all so much again for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
again.
it's been an absolute delight.
All right, everyone. That will be our time at Multithon for today. But fret not, there is more cooperative, competitive, and all-around collaborative fun to be had tomorrow and the next day as well. So we will be back at 9 a.m. PST. That's noon EST. And oh god, I don't think I can translate that into the amount of time zones that we had during that previous run, but I'm sure Google can help you with that. So if you would like to come back and hang out with us again and support some lovely dogs getting very important jobs and maybe see some speedy gameplay as well, we would love to have you. I've been Pippi in a Top Hat, and I must bid you farewell as you go on a raid adventure of your own. Have a great day.